Well, we've been looking forward to talking to you, Phuti.
Thank you
and
very
I'm
much.
pleased that you finally got to be in touch with you. So it's a pleasure.
Thank you.
A lot to talk about. Let me start right off the bat, say to you.
Yes.
A lot of South Africans that I've interacted with ask me, what is this BRICS all about? You know, we understand the membership,
right?
But what goes on here at the business meetings?
Well, thank you very much for the question. It's very good to see you, and especially after such a difficult time after COVID.
Yes.
So I think with respect to BRICS, the reality is that these are, you know, when you look at all of the nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa, these are developing nations that have come together and today are the fastest growing nations together as a bloc in the world. And so, you know, it's a predominant force to be a part of. The opportunity that we have as South Africa is the fact that being an African nation, we have the ability to be able to extend this throughout the continent. And that is why what you'll see is that we've invited our colleagues from around the African continent to be here. And we're very thankful that the excellencies from around the continent will also be here. It's important that we do this because one of the most important things is the African Continental Free Trade Area, which is going to be, you know, it is the largest bloc in the world. And so it is such an important opportunity. And I think when you look at the African Continental Free Trade Area and you combine it with BRICS, it's going to be a significant force. Now, coming back to your question, the importance here is what we can get for the majority of our people. And when I look at our people, what's most important to me is our youth. You know, we know that we live in a nation where, you know, on an expanded basis, it's now around 70% of our youth who are unemployed. So how are we creating access to opportunities for them? And I'm very fortunate that one of the areas that I'm responsible for are the digital side as well as skilling. And so the opportunities that we have there is to provide access to skilling for young people so that they can be in a better position to be employable and to have access to employment here in South Africa, parts of Africa and other parts of BRICS.
I'd like to hear your opinion. You mentioned the BRICS members' economies grew.
Yes.
The fastest growing over the 10 years. But within this group, South Africa is a laggard, right? Economy has been almost non-existent or very, very minute compared to the potential.
Correct.
Why do you think that is the case?
Well, I think there's a number of reasons. You know, we've had, as a country, had many challenges that we have faced as an economy. However, I think what I'm thankful for is the fact that we have many opportunities to overcome that. And one of them is looking at the quality of the partnerships that we have. So, for instance, the trade relationships that we have with the different nations, ensuring that it is net positive for South Africa, that we are not just exporting in a manner that is, you know, depreciative for South Africa. And so, you know, it's important that we are able to ensure that we have the trading relationships that are positive for South Africa, but also the fact that we are able to manage our own institutions better. And you know, and I'm hopeful that, you know, that is what, when I look at, for instance, the CEOs, we have, for instance, the CEO of AXA, who's here with us as well. She looks after the aviation working group, and it's really good to see just the work that they are doing. So when you see leadership like that has come in, it gives us a sign that we are on the right trajectory. However, there is a lot that needs to be done.
Now, as the member of the Business Council, I know that you have oversight over the digital cooperation or partnerships as well as the skills development, as you mentioned. So let's focus on the digital partnerships, right, and the evolution of technology. And you already run a technology company, Naspers. Where do you see the opportunities for South African businesses as well as the emerging entrepreneurs? What should they be focusing on when they look at the work that's been done by the working group responsible for the digital partnerships?
I think in the digital sphere, the opportunities are numerous. And one of the greatest things about the digital space is the fact that it is very much focused on entrepreneurship. And so, you know, where you can ensure that entrepreneurs are able to have access to capital and have the ability to scale their businesses. And so the opportunities there are significant. And the other thing on the digital side is that it's irrespective of industry. Whether you are in the manufacturing industry, health industry, food industry, the digital space, encompasses all of those industries. And so the opportunities are significant. But I think what's important is to ensure that people have access to the internet at an affordable cost so that they can make use of the opportunities that they have. One thing about South Africa, we have a lot of entrepreneurs. We have creativity for solutions. But what people are lacking is access to affordable finance and access to infrastructure that they can use to develop their products. And I think when you have those two, then you have the capability for entrepreneurs to be able to scale their businesses.
Let's move to the point of the skills development. You mentioned the high unemployment rate, particularly amongst the youth in South Africa, which we know on its own is unreasonable, unfair for those young people, but as well as the overall country stability. It's not okay to have young people not partake of the benefits of the economy. So on the skills development side, what is emerging out of the working groups' deliberations?
Well, with the working groups of the skills development, one of the things that we've been looking at, firstly, is we're looking at standardization of the skills. And that is being led by the China working group. And so that is something that's important in terms of ensuring that all of the BRICS nations have an agreed standard of the quality of skills that they want to be pushing. And then we have this big skills competition that we're going to be running in September, which will create a great opportunity for young people. And it's a program that they've already started with. And, we'll be having all of the BRICS nations coming back to South Africa in September to run this competition. And so there's a number of different programs that are being run within the skills area. But I think overall, what I'm really excited about is the fact that, it's so important that we have companies, corporates, private sector, being able to push for more skills development. And I see that, being the South Africa CEO of Naspers, I know the importance of that. As Naspers, we are doing that, looking at skilling of young people. And I know that there are many other corporates as well who are pushing for that. Because if we don't do that, it's to our own detriment. We need to have access to those skills.
But here's the thing, though, when you in the South African context, I'm listening to you, it's fascinating and it's great that the corporates are promoting this, but it speaks to the education system as well. So are there any adjustments that are being recommended to the education system? And you say China is playing the lead role in that direction. I know there's, for instance, coding as part of the basic education of the Chinese school children and Chinese young people. But in South Africa, our curriculum belongs to the 80s or even before. Any changes that you are recommending there?
Well, in fact, I'm glad that you hit on that area, because one of the key areas for us now is reskilling. So with graduates, young people are coming out of university, and that's a small pool in South Africa. But even with them, we're having to reskill them because they're coming out of university, but with the degree that they have, it's not something that can easily be used into a job that is relevant in today's world. And so we're reskilling young people and making sure that they can then be in a position to add value in a particular area. So that's become an area, even for us as a corporate, as Naspers, that's something that we are doing as well. We're taking young people straight out of university, we're reskilling them, and then we can position them for a job where that particular skill that they've been reskilled for is useful.
Talk to a young person, young South African, who's listening to the skills development talk and discussion that we're having here, and says, Phuti, I hear you, but where should I start? What must I do? I'm an unemployed graduate, I'm sitting at home, I don't have opportunities. Where do you think they should start?
Well, the first thing is that they don't even need to be a graduate. whether you're out of high school, you finish somewhere in the middle of high school, or whether you are from university. You go, there are a number of programs that are run. For instance, the program that we run as Naspers, we've got our Naspers Labs program that we run, where we bring in young people can apply online. They come into Naspers Labs, they go online, they apply for that program, they come in, and then they are provided with the digital skilling. But one of the things that we find though, Tim, is that unfortunately, it's not 100% of young people that we bring in who'll complete the program. So it is also a process of getting them to stay committed, stay the course. We do pay them a stipend while they are doing the skilling, because we understand that they have to pay for taxis or whatever to be able to, to continue with what they are doing. And also Wi-Fi, etc. It's at a cost. But then once we've completed the skilling for them, for me, what's important with our program at Naspers is that we're able to place them in employment. Now, when they're in that place of employment, it could be that it's an opportunity where it's immediately a permanent job, but in many instances, it's a temporary job. But now it means that beyond what you know, you also need to be able to, present yourself in a way that's meaningful. And I think that is something that's so important for young people to also learn, that no one owes you anything. So you need to push for it. Once you are in an opportunity, they've said to you, you've got 3 months to be here, you've got to push and make sure that by the end of that 3 months, you're offered a permanent job so that you can then stay in, So that is something that's important. We are driving for young people to be able to be active citizens of our society.
You've been at the top of the corporate game yourself, being the CEO of Naspers, But many women in particular still find it hard to break through the glass ceiling. As much as we're talking about great things, skills development now, the issue of transformation in as far as empowerment of women is concerned, how are you addressing that? And in any event, what's your view or advice to women who want to also reach the top of their game?
Yes. So I'm very glad that you raised that too. It's a very important point. Unfortunately, globally, the presence of women in the digital industry is still at a very small percentage. And so a lot we are doing, I know within our group, there's a lot being done to ensure that we have more of a gender balance. Whether you go from the board level, where in fact the last 3 appointments of board members have been women onto our group board, and then even within our executive at the group level, all of amongst the executives there's about 3 of us who are women, and then here in South Africa, the majority of my leadership here in South Africa are women. So I think it's a process of being focused on ensuring that you can bring in that talent of female skills, but then also creating the correct environment. I'm very thankful that we have the type of environment where our people are not required to be in the office every single day. So if you have someone who's a mom with young children, they at least have the flexibility to be able to do their work but still spend time with their children as well. So it is a difficult task for women. As a woman, I know, to be able to manage your responsibilities at home and also responsibilities at work. But what I'm thankful for is that in today's world, we have men who also understand that they also have a role to play at home. They are also parents, and but unfortunately within our sector, the presence of women is still limited. But I'm thankful that within our company, the presence of women is definitely there. In fact, our group CEO, Bob van Dijk, is very, very resolute on ensuring that he has strong women within his organization.
Well, it was a pleasure talking to you, and thank you very much, and good luck with the work that you're doing here at the BRICS Business Council.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks.